Hi, welcome to part of my Frenchie. This is me. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're here, welcome. Glad you are joining me live for Pet Loss Tuesday, 7 p.m. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're here, say hi in the chat. My lovely moderator should be on here shortly, or she should be in here soon. Oh, Dave is in here. Violet and Dave are here. There's the moderator. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just getting started. Pet Loss Tuesday. So Tuesday is our day where we talk about all things with regards to pet loss, and and we are now switching from Saturdays to Fridays. And so we will also have our regular show on Friday, where we will have open topics, and that's just kind of more of our. Oh, hello, Michelle. Michelle's here too. Hello, hello, hello. So Fridays are going to be our open topics, and those are just random, and we have a little bit more fun on that. But Tuesdays are dedicated to pet loss and support. So if you are and just if you have a pet that has passed recently, or doesn't have to even be recently, within ever, or if you know somebody that you're here that maybe has had a pet that has passed, and you want to find ways to help and support them, or a friend or a family member, this is a great place to be. So we have plenty of information. The only thing that I ask, the only rules here, is that everybody is respectful to one another, and that's the only rules that I have, is just everybody is respectful to one another, and just have a good time. That's the most important thing. So the goal of the channel is to normalize pet loss and grief, and to spread the word that pet loss and grief is a very, very real thing, and does affect people, just the same as it would when a person passes. And it is, just as important to acknowledge as anything else. So, but if you're here, if you're new, welcome, welcome. We are excited that you're here and that you found us. So, and if you're not subscribed, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. We're the girls are around here somewhere. I think they're under my sofa here. I can hear them messing around with something. They always try to get into. There's Rosie. Rosie's probably coming up. I don't know where Coco is. Coco is probably under the couch here. Come here, Rosie. You want to say hi? Come here. Again, they always get excited to come down here, and then they always get into something else. So, but, oh, and Coco may come out here too. So I found some, come here, Coco. But yes, they're getting into bad things now that the show has started, because that's typically what they like to do, is chew on things and all sorts of things that they should not be doing. So, but they may have to get removed. You just never know. Sometimes that happens, but we shall see. It just you absolutely just never know. But we'll see. Coco, come here. Come here. And again, if you're see now Rosie just found a piece of paper, and she's going to proceed to tear that up. She has probably seen this piece of paper for the past 2 months down here and has not touched it. And now she is going to rip it up because nobody is paying attention to her. So, and now Coco's looking at it too, because she thinks that that's going to be good. Now, granted, in my corner of my studio here, I have a huge dog pool full of probably 30 toys in there that these dogs can play with. And yet they choose to pick up paper. Get up here. Come here. Come here. Show me what you have. They're not going to do that. So anyways, but this is what this is what the world of working with dogs that just like to get into trouble, but they enjoy being on the show, which again, my studio is is downstairs in my house, and no other time do they come down here or ever want to come down here until they see me get my stuff on. Then they dart down here. But any other time I come down here, they don't care about, even attempting to come down here. But when they know that I get my stuff on to come down, they're like right here, ready to, be prepared and come on here. So, but yes, for some reason they're tearing up paper. So not on their best behavior so far, but we'll see how that changes a little bit more into the show. So again, if you're new here, welcome. We've got a great topic. We've got a great topic coming up tonight. Something that I ran into an interesting person this week, which prompted this topic and made me realize that maybe it was something that more people weren't familiar with when it came to pet loss and support. So I really thought that it'd be nice to tackle it because, again, I never thought that. Again, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I really never thought that. When was his birthday? When was Bubba's birthday? And how old did he turn? But again, I never really thought that when the question was asked of me this past week, I never really had the question. 12 years of talking with people over pet loss and grief, I this question had never come up. So it was interesting that it and granted, the person that had brought it to me was rather they were in their 20s, so it was a fair question, but it was a good question. I thought to myself, I'm like, what, maybe more people don't realize this information. So I thought, well, what a great time to bring it to the channel. So yay. And how old is he going to be? On the 23rd of April. Now Dave just celebrated. Oh, he's 5. Aw. Now Dave just celebrated his birthday yesterday. So happy belated birthday, Dave. Dave just celebrated his birthday yesterday. So that was exciting. So we've got 2 birthdays this month. Dave's birthday and Bubba's birthday this month. That's exciting. Very, very exciting. Lots of good things happening this month. So I know on the last show, in the last video, I'm going to bring it up real briefly again. We talked about the one gentleman on Facebook, Aaron, and his Letters in the Quiet, which here's Letters in the Quiet. They had sent me the beautiful letter. Again, you can go back and look at the video that we had done on it. He had sent a beautiful letter to my son. You can watch the video on that as well. Here's Aaron and his dog, Angel, who had passed. And he does these wonderful, 70 years older than Bubba. He does these wonderful, wonderful letters, and just again, highly recommend checking out his Facebook page. So again, wonderful thing. So we'll put some information in there about Aaron's page as well. So there you go on that. And let's see. Another thing I came across as well, which I thought this was interesting, on top of, before I get into all that, I don't know about where you're at, but our weather has been crazy here. We have been it went from like nice to extremely cold. And I mean, we are now like, come here, come up here and say hi, even though you were bad eating paper. Come here. So Rosie's coming up now to say hello. Here's my pen. Rosie's coming up to say hello. Say hi, Rosie. Coco's still being bad down there, but here's Rosie. There's the potato. Come here. Come here. Say hi. So Rosie's up here now. Oh, now you're gonna bite me. Now you're gonna bite me. And then there's Coco. Coco's down there. She's gonna give Rosie a hard time. What are you doing? So but yeah, so our weather has been acting so crazy. I don't think we've had a spring like this in a long, long time. Um, where it's just okay, come on, and here's Coco. So both the girls are here to say hello. Don't know how they've got their superhero collars on. Rosie's Supergirl and Coco is Batgirl. It was actually supposed to be the other way around. Uh, uh, hello, say Coco's got a real nice face shot there, which you could see she's doing a lot better after her surgery. Uh, Rosie was supposed to be Batgirl, but the collar was way too small for her. So this is where we're at with this. So so yes, they're you're gonna fall off my lap. Where are you going? I know exactly what Coco is looking at, and that's one of the things I'm going to show today on the show. They're both intrigued with one of the things that I bought for the show tonight. So, which you'll see it here shortly. I will show that. But come here, say hi. So here's your up close of Coco. You're gonna go sit with your sister. Where are you going? Are you gonna stand here? But honestly, we have now Rosie's laying down, so that's good. The Rosie got to go in the stroller the other day for a walk with my son Brady. Don't eat the box. With my son Brady, and they went through the neighborhood in her stroller, and one of our neighbors down the road had gotten a new puppy, and so he was all excited about bringing Rosie over to meet the puppy. I'm still very oh, Patty's here. Hello, Patty. Hello. I'm very leery about, my son's 12, so he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the dog world quite yet. But he was saying, "Oh, my friend, got a new puppy, and it's a black lab, and it's just a baby, and so forth." And he was all excited about. Hi, hello, thank you. He was all excited about. He's like, "Let me bring Rosie over to meet the puppy," and I'm like, "Well, wait a minute, just because I know that their family also has two other bigger dogs, and I said you can't just bring in Rosie into the house with two other dogs as well, and because Rosie doesn't know their dogs, and I know dogs, and I don't hang on, let me move her over here. You come over here. I know dogs, and you don't do certain things, and again, their family, their dogs are very, very nice. However, it's their home, and for somebody to just bring a strange dog into their territory, you don't know how they're going to react. And again, my son doesn't know the rules of dogs yet because he's 12. So I was telling him, I said, you can't just bring Rosie into the house without, there's just a way you have to do things. And so, so I was telling him, I said, you can't just do that. You have to, it just has to be done right, and all that sorts of things. And, so anyways, but so he ended up putting Rosie in the stroller, and I said, if you want to, take the dog out, and, if they want to meet in the yard, that's fine. But you can't bring the dog in the house, with two other big dogs. And it's a bad combination. We had it before where when I wasn't home, he had taken Rosie over to meet another dog. And it was, a bigger dog. It was a puppy. And then the same thing, it had a bigger dog in the house, and that did not end up well. And, Rosie ended up almost getting bit. And again, it's a bad combination. But again, he doesn't know, he's a kid. So, but these are little things that you just have to educate your kids on when it comes to dogs. And again, when you have nice dogs, you think that, you you think that, oh, the whole, you think life's a cartoon, right? That all dogs get along and they get together and stuff like that. And even if other dogs are nice as well, it doesn't matter. They, when you put another dog in their house, it's their territory. No matter if they're the nicest dog in the world or not, you can't just throw another dog in, without doing a proper introduction. I mean, there's just rules of doghood, right? So these are just little things that you have to teach your kids and stuff. And then, just the way life is, right? So anyways, long story short. So one of the other things that I really thought was cool was this. So I came across this today, and this says, your pet dies and your boss expects you to go to work the next morning. More and more companies are saying no more. And now you can get up to 2 weeks paid time off. It's called paternity leave. Okay. Oh, no, do not eat my plant. One company gives employees 2 weeks of paid leave, not for a baby. Stop it. Sorry. Coki's being bad. 2 weeks, not for a baby, but for adopting a shelter dog. And it's working. More and more companies, more and more companies are giving employees paid time off when they adopt a pet or lose one. It's called paternity leave, ranging from a few hours to 2 full weeks. Mars Pet Care, Brewdog, Rover, and M Particle already offer it. New York City has even introduced a bill for pet sick leave. Over 80 million U.S. households own a pet. Millennials are the largest generation in the workforce and the largest group of pet owners. Studies show employees who get time to bond with a new pet or grieve the loss come back more focused after this time off. Some companies also offer pet insurance with up to 5 paid bereavement days. Now it says not everyone agrees. Critics say coworkers resent covering someone's puppy time, but supporters argue if you give bereavement leave for a family member, your pet is family, and the policy makes sense. The trend is growing and not slowing down. So, Michelle says, and then the vet will add more money and say that we had to remove the. Are you poor Violet? Oh, you're talking about Violet's tooth. Oh, hi. Well, welcome. Yeah. So I thought that this was really, really cool. Really, really cool how they're now, people are starting to now do like bereavement and so forth, or companies are starting to look at this. And one thing I thought was interesting, so it said like not everybody agrees, like coworkers and stuff aren't looking at this, right? But I thought the interesting thing was, remember when I talked last week about Delta Airlines and how they rerouted that flight for the one English bulldog that was having issues in the sky, and they rerouted for like an hour. They like delayed the flight for an hour or 2 hours. I talked to my friend that was a pilot, and I said, I bet like people who were delayed were like upset, right? For like, because they got delayed for 2 hours, to stop for, the medical treatment for a dog. And she said, my friend who's a pilot said, honestly, no. She goes, they would probably be less upset because they were saving a dog. She goes, now, if it was for a kid, she said, they probably wouldn't be upset at all. Or she said, if it was for a kid, she said, they'd probably be really upset. She said, but for a dog, she said, they'd be like, land the plane. She said, but if it was for a kid, they'd be like really pissed. So I thought that was funny. She goes, yeah, for kids, they get really irritated, but for dogs, they're like, oh yeah, land the plane. So anyways, I thought that was really interesting. So anyways, but moving on. All right. So kind of getting into the the meat and potatoes of the show today. So like I was saying, I always run into people, and whenever I do, whenever I go places and so forth. And so I ran into this young girl this past week, and in a checkout line, and she was saying how she was saying how she had just lost her dog a few weeks ago, and again, she was having a really, really hard time with it. It was. Oh, hang on one second. I apologize. Remember, I said that these dogs get in trouble. So I'm just, you know what? Before I get into the story, I've got to show you what Coco is getting into problems over here, right? Before I just jump into this, I got to show you what she keeps. I was going to save this till later, but now I have to show you because I'm going to have to move this. Nope, and you're not going to stop. I have to move this because she's going to get into this. But this is what Coco is getting into before she does. So I found this at Kroger, and it is a pet planter, and Coco's trying to eat my flowers out of it. So this is what she's over here trying to eat, and I'm trying to push her away from. And I thought this was cute. I was going to save this till later because you can actually use this as a pet memorial item, or you could just use it as a pet planter, which is what I did. But I put like a rose bush in it. But it's a little pet planter, and I put a little rose bush in it. But this is what Coco's trying to eat on the side of my thing here, which. She's so enamored with this dog thing and trying to eat it on me. But that's why I figured I would just show it now. Right. It's so cute. I got it at Kroger, but I always try to show different. Yes, So my co-producer's now coming to take it away because if not, she's going to be smitten with it. So it is now gone, and I'm sorry, Coco. But okay, so hello, welcome if you're first time here. So all right, now that the planter is out of the way and Coco is not distracted anymore, I'm sorry, Coco, I'm sorry he took your planter away. I'm sorry. So anyways, so the young lady had lost her dog a couple weeks ago, and for all of you that are new today, this is Pet Loss Tuesday. So if you have lost a pet, please feel free to put your pet's name in the comments below. The only thing that we ask is that everybody's respectful, and like I said, there's always something to learn on the channel, but we are happy that you're here. So anyways, going through the checkout lane at a store, and a person had seen my shirt. We're advertising the show and asked what I do. And usually whenever I tell anybody about this show, there's always a story. There's always somebody that they lost, somebody that, and which is great because I love hearing stories, and I love going on people's journeys with them. And so this young lady was telling me how she, happened to lose her first pet a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately, it was an emergency situation, and it was one where, it's kind of sometimes in labs and bigger dogs, if they're running, if they have a lot of activity, they can I know she wants my coffee now. When they're running, they can flip their stomachs, and if they don't get immediate medical attention, they can die. And unfortunately, it's hard to tell because when that happens, the dog goes into distress very, very quickly, right? Yeah, they go into distress very, very quickly. And if you don't know what it is, like if you've never seen it before, which a lot of people haven't, because it's, I mean, it's common, but if you don't know what you're looking for, if you're a first time dog owner, if you're in your 20s, you won't know what to look for, right? If you've never had a dog, if you've never had a bigger breed like that, you won't know what to look for. Okay. Um, so, anyways, again, it wasn't her fault. Her dog went into distress. She thought it was just, you know, like a stomach ache, something like that. She didn't know what it was. Okay. And unfortunately, um, by the time she got to the vet, it was too late and she lost her dog. So, um, you know, of course, she's going through the grieving process. And what she was saying to me, or what we were talking about, she's like, why she was not understanding why when there's in pet loss there's 7 steps for grief, right? Where in like people grief there's 5 steps, in pet grief there's 7 steps. So she was saying that she's like, grief, the grieving process is such a horrible thing, and it's so bad and all this stuff. And I said, no, I said, actually, I said the grieving process is a good thing. I said the grieving process is actually a way for our body and our brain to protect ourselves, right? I said grief isn't something that we go through. I said it's actually it's like something that we go through. And it's not like in these neat little steps. It's something that happens to us because we love something so deeply. When you lose a pet, your brain doesn't understand that they're gone forever. All it knows is that something important is missing, right? And so your brain then puts you into the grief mode in order to protect you, because loss is trauma, right? Loss is trauma. And when you love something so deeply, your brain kicks in and it says, hey, I've got to protect the body. That's its first line of defense is, hey, I've got to protect the body. That's why, you know, kind of, people will say that they may like still hear, you might still like listen for their footprints. You might glance at their favorite spots. Um, you know, it's like your pet wasn't just part of your life. They were part of your routine, for 365 days, 24 hours, 24 hours and, 24 hours in the day. They were your comfort. You came home every day. They were your whole life. And then when that's gone, you have to start over, right? So, um, grief is the body's way and the brain's way of protecting you. So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So I'm like, I don't think that a lot of people realize the importance of it. So I wanted to go through so I pulled the kind of like the psychological meanings behind each of the steps, um, and broke them down a little bit because, again, I don't think that people realize that it's not bad. They're not bad at all. And I found when I pulled like the psychological meanings behind it, like it's very interesting. When you looked at it, it's really, really interesting. Because they're more, when you lose a pet, it's family, right? It's not just losing a pet. Um, your brain is trying to process the broken bond. And I love that about it, because just like anything, when they even say, I hate to say, they even say like, prior to us passing away, or even if we're in a horrible accident, they always say that our brain will protect us, by shutting off prior to like us feeling pain and things like that. It's amazing if you watch some of these studies about, things like how much our brain will protect us from feeling different things. So, so I just thought, I'm like, and I told her, I said, please tune in. I hope she tunes in tonight, because I told her, I'm like, I wanted to just help break it down for her, because I thought it was really important, really, really important. And for those that don't know, like, kind of the 7 steps, if you're new here, like, we've got shock and numbness, denial, anger, bargaining, hang on, depression, testing, and acceptance. Those are the 7 like main steps of the grieving process. And you can go through those at any time. So that's just the way it is. So it's but anyway, so when we go through the stages, so the shock is the stages. Okay, let's see. The shock stage is just your brain is trying to process the broken bond. So it's going through, it's losing a pet isn't like just losing the animal, right? So that's the shock part. Okay. It's the routine, it's the physical affection, it's the emotional support. You form the secure attachment. The stages are your mind trying to reorganize reality without them. The denial protects you from the overload. Early on, people often feel that this can't be real. You expect to hear paw. Sorry, do not drink my coffee. Early on, you expect to hear, their paws on the floor, which a lot of people have heard that. There's a lot of mind tricks that happen with denial. Denial, I think, hits a lot of people, depending on what happened with your pet. It's your brain buffers the emotional shock. It lets you absorb the loss gradually instead of all at once. I thought that was interesting. The denial process does that. It lets you absorb the loss gradually instead of all at once. And it's almost, and I think a lot of kids go through the denial process too, when they process grief. I know that, you don't want to accept it. I mean, it's hard enough. And you get to the point where when you go through that loss, you want to wake up the next day and you're just like, this didn't happen. How did this happen? How did this happen to me? Or even if you know that you have something coming up, or that you have that euthanasia scheduled, right? Or maybe you just got that diagnosis. Maybe you got the diagnosis that your dog's terminal, and you're just like, this can't be. Why this can't be happening? This isn't happening. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe I'll get a second, third, fourth opinion. I mean, even when animals are alive, you can still go through what they call like pre-grief, pre-grieving, right? Because you're in preparation for the end. And sometimes I often wonder if that's worse than the actual loss, is knowing that the impending loss is coming. I've had it both ways. I've had it where I've known that the end is coming, and I've had it where it's where the rug has been pulled out from underneath me. I don't know which one I like better. I mean, I know that I know that out of all the ones that I've had, that I've lost, these are the ones that I've lost. I've had the all the ones here, and then, one additional one. And, I, there's no good way to say goodbye. I mean, except for, the one that passed on my lap, quietly, that was a great one. But the other ones were, I mean, they were great. I mean, nothing's great about the end, right? Um, but I've had it where that they're, you where that you've scheduled that appointment where you've got to go in and sign that paper. And I've had it where I've, gone to the vet and they said that you've got to, euthanize today. And then I've had it where, they've, passed right in front of me unexpectedly. It's it's all right. You're right. Patty said you feel so helpless. So it's all that, but in all those situations, it's it's, and then again too, like in those situations too, even if it's like you walk around, you look at everybody and you're like, why is everybody so damn happy? I mean, I think that's with anything, right? Whenever you're going through some sort of peril situation, you always kind of look at everybody like, why the hell is everybody so happy? But that could be with anything. That could be when you have people in the hospital. That could be when, you're going through anything. It could be like, why the hell is everybody so damn happy? And you're going through, you know, all this stuff. So, and then, you've got anger and guilt. Anger and guilt, I should have done more. Why didn't I catch it sooner? Um, but that comes with the need to, again, that comes with the need to be in control. We're humans and we want to control everything. But then when it comes to these guys, we are the ones that make the decisions. We are the ones that pull the trigger. We are the ones that buy their food. We're the ones that make the appointments. We are the ones that everybody looks to for the answers. And then when it comes to them leaving this earth, they're going to say, what happened? And we're the ones that have to tell the story as to what happened. And so we have that, depending on how it happened. I mean, hell, everybody's here is on the internet. Internet's the worst judge on the planet, right? So no matter what happened, there's always going to be somebody to go, well, did you try this? Did you try that? Could have done this. Could have done that. Right? Well, maybe could have done this. Maybe you could have drove there. Maybe you could have had the surgery there. And that's really not nice. And, I would encourage people and I encourage people a lot of times to, anytime people would come to group or, even on here, I always tell people to, whenever somebody passes or whenever somebody's pet passes and they're telling you about it, I always just tell people, if somebody's telling you about their situation or their loss, just listen. Just listen, just be empathetic. No matter what happens, whether you agree with what happened, whether you don't agree with what happened, just listen and just say, I'm so sorry. No matter what, just say, I'm so sorry. And, just if you need anything, I'm here. Because that person, no matter what, is feeling lonely. They're feeling down. They don't need a judge. They don't need a jury. They just need somebody there to be supportive. And I know that if it was you, you would want the same thing too, right? Nobody wants a judge. They don't want to, they don't want, they want somebody there to be there to listen to them. They don't want somebody there to give them the answers, because at this point, there's no answer. There's no changing it. There's no going back in time. There's no fixing it. There's no bringing back something that they loved with all their heart, right? So by adding fuel to the fire, and trust me, there's people out there that'll try to, just be heartless and mean. And, that's just not nice. It's just not nice to do to people. And unfortunately, there's people that are, that do it unintentionally. They think that they're being helpful, and they do it unintentionally, and that's again, I just filter, read the room, filter. That's that's all I ask is just read the room and filter. um, and and blame. I mean, people blame themselves. That's another thing too. You're already going to be blaming yourself, no matter what. Even if there's no your animal's sick, and um, you're going to blame yourself for something. But don't. Um, you know, and the next one's bargaining. You try to rewrite reality. You try to bargain with the situation. Maybe I could have done this. Maybe I could have done that. Maybe if I, maybe if I would have tried this more, um, you can't change the ultimate end. I could look at, two of my situations and say, what if I would have done this? And what if I would have done that? And, I think I probably, spent, I don't know, maybe on one of them, I know I spent at least a good 2 years beating myself up over it. Um, but in the end, I mean, what did that do? Nothing. It did nothing. It didn't bring my dog back. It didn't do any of that, right? So there's no point of sitting there and entertaining thoughts that weren't healthy. Um, so you don't want to do that. If I got, just once things have finalized, and once things are passed, um, you just have to mentally say, I did the best that I could, and you just have to kind of come to peace with it. Um, but even with the bargaining stage, even with all that, your brain is just trying to protect you and keep that bond between you and your dog longer. That's all that's doing. All that's doing is it's keeping that bond between you and your dog longer, and it's keeping that positive. Um, it's keeping the positiveness there longer. Like, yeah, I did do all I could, and yeah, and you absolutely could. The next one, depression. People say depression is bad. Yeah, severe depression is bad, but in like a mild depression state, and when it comes to grief and depression, um, depression in this sense reflects the absence of the loss. And in the sense of depression and pet loss, one thing depression does do, and I know in, like, say, like a case like mine, um, depression, like for a person like me, I'm constantly a go, go, go person. And what, like, the stage of depression does is it knocks you on your ass, and it tells you that you need to take care of yourself. And it tells you that, you know what, today you're going to sit in bed and you're going to take care of yourself, and you're going to focus on yourself, and you're going to take care of your mental needs, and you're going to take care of your where you are grieving, and you're going to not go to work today, and you're going to take care of yourself. It That stage forces you to take care of yourself, just like when you are go go going, and you start getting a runny nose, and you're like, oh, I got to go to work today. I got to go to work today. And then you do it for 2 days and 3 days, and then boom, life throws you the flu, and you got to stay home. And that's the only way that you would probably stay home from work, right? Is you got the flu. So that's what, when it comes to like the mild depression stage and the grief in the grief field, that's the positive of that, is that it basically puts you in the stage where you have to take care of yourself. and teaches you that you've got to focus on yourself. Your pet was your reward system in life, and now that reward system is gone. And now you have to come in and you have to fill that void, but you've got to, take care of your mental self. You've got to self-care. You have to, again, get your support system together, whether you have to have them say that you're not going places, but just take the time for you. I don't think that we as people take enough time for ourselves. And again, with the way that society is, we push people out. The way with the way society is, it's just a dog, it's just a cat. So we get this fear that if we say, my dog died, I don't feel like going out today. We're afraid of disappointing people where they're like, so you're not going to go because your dog died? Well, yeah, I'm not going to go because my dog died. I don't want to go. I don't feel like going. My dog was here for 15 years and greeted me with unconditional love for 15 years. Never was mean to me, never, gave me everything for 15 years. And yeah, I don't feel like going tonight. So that's also another, reason why you call in your support system to have those conversations for you, make up excuses for you to step in and say, hey, you know what? She doesn't feel like going, or he doesn't feel like going, or we're not going tonight. Same thing. You need to call in sick, because you don't have to. But that's what the positive step of, the depression and so forth does. The next 6 and 7 kind of go hand in hand, the testing and adjustment and acceptance. Those are good as well, because those are the steps that help you move forward. They help you, it's your brain helping you to adjust to your life without your pet. But they're also the ones that help you to be able to still memorialize your pet, talk about your pet, move on in a, I have my memorial to garden outside. I do all this and able to, share my stories about my pet. I'm able to help, help tons of people. I do it in their name. Right, exactly. You're right. People need to know it's okay to grieve, and it's just not a dog. And it's not. It's absolutely not. Yeah, the pet industry is a $1 billion industry. And it's not just dogs. It's not just cats or animals again, I've been doing this for over 12 years, and the people that would come into my meetings, it wasn't just dog people. I had horse people. I had, somebody had a, naked rat. There was iguana people, all sorts of bird people, all sorts of people. People grieved all sorts of animals. It wasn't just the animal. It was the connection. It was a connection that they had, and it was the bond that you don't get with, like I said this before, the bond is unique because you don't get it with just anybody. Like that animal or that the animal, the reptile, whatever, that's an intimate bond. It's between you and that animal. And they bond with you, and it's a one-on-one kind of thing, and it's different with everybody. Whereas with people, you can have the same kind of bond with, like a mom has the same kind of bond with her children, typically, if she likes them all. I love all my children. But you know what I mean? But families, you all have your same kind of bond, and, or typically same kind of bond. But like with animals and so forth, it's an intimate bond that only because that's your bond. And when that is broken, nobody else knows that. Even if it is in the same household, nobody else knows that same bond. So it's hard unless, like, if you're here and you've lost an animal, you can understand because you understand, hey, I went through that same kind of broken bond. And that's why when people lose animals, or, when people lose animals, they feel lost, they feel lonely because it is a very, very lonely place. And that's why in my tagline, I said, if you don't have a friend, you have one now, because it is a very, very lonely time. And again, it's not one that everybody understands. Not everybody's an animal person. Um, you know, you go out in the world and you say, or you go to work and you say, oh, I lost my dog. Oh, I lost my cat. And they're like, okay, so, all right. Or it's, oh, yeah, sorry. And then it's, okay, so what are we doing tomorrow? What's on the agenda for tomorrow? And, but if you say to somebody, oh, I lost my grandma. And it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Do you need the week off of work? And blah, 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 blah. Which that's great. Again, but it's just the way that the world looks at things differently. And, both are very, very important, and both are very, very important to people. And that's what I don't think society realizes. And that's what society should realize. So, that's why I thought when this young lady was talking to me, she was saying like how these stages are so bad. I'm like, but they're not, because there's it's your brain protecting you. These things, these stages are so good because they're protecting you, and it's just it's when you have something that's giving you unconditional love and so forth, it's and that bond is broken. It's just challenging. I will say I came across this, and um, and it didn't come out great on my printer, and I really hate the fact that this did not come out great on my printer, but I'll show it anyways. Um, yes, Patty says yes, you will need you'll be okay, but you need to grieve and heal. Absolutely. And just to kind of hit on that comment that you said, there's no time limit on it, on the grieving and healing. There used to be the original Elizabeth Kubler-Ross stages of grief were formulated to have a limit on basically the grief cycle. They were formed to have the last part of the grieving cycle as kind of like a completion, an acceptance, where the new kind of stages, and so of acceptance is more of a ongoing, a memorializing, the way that you're accepting is by keeping the memory alive. And I like that. Because it's not, before it was kind of like, okay, you've accepted it, you're moving on, you're closing the chapter, you're never speaking of it again. The new way is, the way you heal is not by putting it in a drawer and closing it up and throwing it away, and we don't talk about it anymore, because when we talk about it, we hurt. But we learn that the more we talk about it, the more we heal. And the more we talk about it, the more it helps other people heal, because then it gets them to talk about their loss. And then if they can talk about their loss, the more that they heal. And then usually you find that you can learn from different things and different people's losses. I've learned a lot from people and their losses and so forth, and different techniques and like different, like if pets passed a different way, and you can learn so many things from again, ways pets have passed, different medications, different procedures and things that are out there, different things that have come out. It's amazing what you can find out just from talking to people on ways pets have passed. I mean, it's just amazing when you start talking about people. But you only get that when you don't put it in a box and lock it away. And so that's a beautiful thing. And when you keep it alive, is you keep their spirit alive. So anyways, but so yeah, so came across this article as well, and this one really disturbed me and really made me mad too on top of it. But there's these two gentlemen in Biloxi, Mississippi, Matthew Bolton and Austin Delano, charged charged for for beating up a man, and they're being held currently. This happened yesterday. They're being held on the highest bond of $250,000, which is typically higher than normal for beating somebody up in Biloxi, Mississippi. They're being held for beating up a man who stomped a dog to death. So, and there's the picture, and like I'm gonna put the information below because I just like appalled at this whole thing. And they didn't, mind you, they did not do anything to the man that like stomped the dog to death. But I'm looking into this further because this is like really bothered me that these two guys are like still in jail for this. But yeah, so I guess they beat this guy up. They didn't kill him or anything, but they beat him up and they got arrested for beating the guy up who literally just stomped a dog to death. But the guy that stomped a dog to death was not picked up for killing a dog right there, which baffles me that they don't have any animal cruelty laws. But anyways, I'm going to post that information down there too, because that just totally baffles me. But I know that there's a Facebook page too, and I'll list that too, that they're trying to, I don't know, do something with the district attorney and hopefully get these guys out, because I just think that is like horrible that people would do something like that. And, you know, these guys tried to intervene to save this dog. And of course the dog didn't make it. But they got arrested on the highest bond for something, some reason. I just thought that was absolutely horrible, but hopefully they can get out of there soon, if not later. But I know we're getting ready to wrap up with the candle lighting at the end here. I know I showed this last week. My Frenchie Fine blinged them out this week. So there's my Frenchie Fine. But yes, I know, moderator, I'm getting ready to get my candle out. So anyways, we are going to end the night with the candle lighting. The candle is going to be for any of our dogs, cats, anything that have passed recently or over the past whenever. This is honoring any of our animals that we have lost. And, you know, we just take a minute and just, you know, thank them for unconditional love. And if you're here again, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate everybody who has taken their time out to stop in today. And I know, right? Thank you. And please, if you're new here, thank you for coming by. Our next show is on Friday. It is a little bit lighthearted. Friday at 7 p.m. Or I think I moved it to 7 or 8 p.m. It's on the show. But anyways, we'll see it. That's a little bit more lighthearted. Tuesdays are always Pet Loss Day. And hopefully, hope to see you back then. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And again, so appreciate you stopping by very, very much. If you don't have a friend, you always have one now. Let me light this candle, and maybe here it goes. Oh, well, here, maybe there. I was gonna say it better go. We got my Snoop Dogg lighter, so that should do it. But anyway, so I know, right? It did go by fast today. I should probably start doing an hour and a half, because it does go by way too fast sometimes, I think. But maybe we'll start prolonging it to an hour and a half to make it go fast. So, but yes, so candle lighting for all of our wonderful pets that have passed, and happy. Well, we'll do more birthday tribute closer to the 23rd for Bubba. Happy belated birthday to Dave, who had a birthday yesterday. If you have a pet that you would like to see put on the show, please send it to the email address that is listed on the channel. We would love to see your pets. And again, thank you for taking the time to stop by. We really, really appreciate you. have a wonderful, wonderful night. And hopefully you will be back on Friday. I'm sorry. Friday. And hopefully you enjoyed my bad dogs who are now sleeping. I don't know where Coco went. Coco's hiding somewhere. So, but again, thank you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Please be safe and take care. Good night. Bye. Bye. Take care. Bye.